One of the most exciting features of DVMax is the use of the laboratory log function. If your DVMax is directly connected to in-house laboratory equipment or via the internet to outside laboratories such as Antech or IDEX or Marshfield, one can click the Labs button on the command palette. This will bring up a list of all of the laboratory items that have been received either via the internet or through direct connection to in-house laboratory equipment. Notice it is even labeled as to which items came from in-house equipment, which ones came from IDEX, and which ones came from Zoesis, which is the Antech source. If we double-click on any of these items, we can see the entire report just as it came in from the laboratory. Clicking OK simply puts the report away, but asks, did you wish to record the fact that you viewed this laboratory item? If one clicks yes, in fact, it will be recorded that we did view the item. In fact, notice that even on this screen, on the Labs screen from the command palette, we can see that it is labeled that we did view it on this particular day. Double-clicking on it, we can see that it was indeed viewed on this date, and we can keep track of all of the times that somebody has viewed this particular record. Let's suppose we also made the effort to contact the owner of this animal to give them the information contained within this report. If so, we can click the Owner Contacted button, which automatically inserts today's date. By doing that, we can also see that now it says that not only did we view this item, but we also contacted the owner. This is a great function because frequently we might go in and view the item but not necessarily contact the owner immediately. We might be awaiting additional information prior to contacting the owner, or perhaps it's not a time of day that's appropriate to contact an owner. There's another means by which we can review laboratory items, and I'm going to close this Labs button from the command palette. The alternate means of viewing laboratory items is to go to the section menu, select Log Records, and then one of the logs that we can view is the laboratory log. If we now click All Records, it will bring up all of the items that are contained within the laboratory log. Each of these represents a laboratory item that was received from the appropriate lab. In this case, either IDEX, Antech, or in-house equipment. It's possible that a lab report would be received by DVMax, and yet DVMax doesn't have enough information to know which animal it belongs to. This might be because the IDEX lab or Antech lab was unable to read the information on the form that was submitted, or perhaps our staff didn't include it on the information that was submitted. In either case, we can double-click on this lab result, thus opening the lab result, and now we can read the actual report that came back from the laboratory. In this case, it identifies the animal as being Foxy, who belongs to an owner with this last name. We can now assign this lab result to the appropriate animal by clicking the Assign button. If we type in the first few letters of that animal's name, in this case Foxy, and there's the owner, we can now click OK, which officially will assign that laboratory item to the correct animal. And from now on, this will now be attached to that animal's record. Also, DVMax will in each case ask if we want to record the fact that we have viewed this laboratory entry. If the answer is yes, obviously we will click yes. If our only purpose in viewing this was to simply assign it to the correct animal, but we intend to view it later, we would then click no, because we haven't really reviewed the information contained on this laboratory report. In addition, we have the ability to mark this particular record as whether or not we contacted the owner. When utilizing the lab log function, in particular the Labs button on the command palette, it's possible to refine the view based on the client, the patient, the type of lab report, whether it's from Antech, IDEX, Marshfield, or in-house laboratory equipment. We can also refine it based on a time frame, meaning just today's reports or those over the last 2, 7, or 30 days. We can even refine it based on who was the last provider of services for this animal. For instance, if we're searching for just those lab reports that apply to a patient named Heather, we can click the Search button. It now asks us if we're interested in Heather belonging to this particular owner. If we say OK, notice it has now refined our search to all lab reports that were for this particular animal, for just today. We can also state that we're interested over the last 30 days. DVMax will now change the information to include lab results that came in prior to just today. Perhaps we're not interested in IDEX and Zoasis, but rather just the IDEX information. We can specify just to show us the IDEX results. And indeed, that's just what DVMax has done. This is a great way to refine your searches so that you don't have to wade through information that is extraneous to your search needs.